What is going on? Mario here in Fighting FX. The champ is in the building. This fucking chair. We were out last couple days. I had some stuff going on in the background. Your boy is working on a book. That's right. I actually wrote a book. Well, I didn't write the book. Hold on. So technically I didn't write a book, but Luke G. Williams did. And shout out to Luke, someone I've known for a very long time. It's been a long time since I've talked to him, but he hit me up back when I was working for the Boxing Voice. I was working for Premier Round Magazine, a couple of other places. I was also writing for iscazieto.com, which is a Spanish language website. I didn't really write in Spanish very well at all. They would translate it, but Luke read a bunch of stuff. Super smart guy. He had like 3 languages, I think he knew, something like that. Anyway, he put together a group of boxing writers that he thought were prolific enough to be a part of this book, and it's kind of like an homage. It's called Boxiana. I don't know how many of them sold. I got like a, small little advance. It was a big deal for me at that time. I'm just not trying to oversell it, right? It was a huge accomplishment. At that point, it had completed my cycle of writing in every medium, which I'd always wanted to do. I mean, obviously it's like a stupid young writer's thing to want to do, but that's where I was. It was like I came along in the internet era, but I was like a fan of Burt Sugar. Like I was a fan of Thomas Hauser and shit, what's his name? Gene, I forget his last name, but all these profound writers from the old days that really like showed you and taught you the history of the sport, right? And they wrote about boxing like it was poetry. You know what I'm saying? I want to go and rewatch the HBO sign off. I saw Dan Raphael post the YouTube clip of that final broadcast, and it was like that's the boxing I grew up on, right? Like Jim Lampley waxing poetic on HBO Championship Boxing, or Max Kellerman on Boxing After Dark, or ESPN, or guys like even like Bob Papa, or what's his name that works for the MLB now that used to do Friday Night Fights, the staff from USA on Tuesday Night Fights. I lived through, or I was a kid, learning about like the height of the best commentary in boxing, the best writers, the best everything. That's what I grew up on, and that's who I idolize. Like, I feel bad sometimes. Like the sport has gotten so far away from like, not just the traditions, fuck all that, from just like being educated and educating the fans, it's all about like bullshit today, right? It's all about like, oh, let's call these people like packtards, and let's call these people like Mayweather dick suckers, and let's talk shit about Tank's abusive record while ignoring the fact that Ryan Garcia is a fucking racist and a piece of shit. And then like, let's talk shit about Haney, who's gone and fought for different companies and promoters and tried to get the best, right? But then let's give passes to like Teofimo and Shakur when they talk that duck talk shit, and then literally do the exact same fucking thing. Shakur pissed off about fighters that didn't want to fight him and gave him that, yo, get your bread up, kid. And then now he out here doing the same thing. Like, it's all the same bullshit, right? But ultimately, I've decided to partner with someone, and we are in the very early stages of working on what the book's going to be about, what we're going to do. But man, I have like a lot of what about Hugh G? What? My bad, Matt. I didn't. Oh, huge erection. That's funny. That's a good one, Matt. But it was like this situation where it's like, yo, I'm here. I'm doing my thing. Like, I have the time to write. I have the time to like reflect on shit. But I'm telling you, it's like, bro, if I was a giant piece of shit, I would have already been like something Like I already been like noticed or like put on some sort of like platform or something. But I just like I've never dug deep enough to reflect on the past work I've done and the stories to be able to like present them in a way that's presentable, and fun and entertaining. Like, bro, I have like crazy stories. Like, yo, there was this time where I was covering a fight and an undercard fighter, right? Who I didn't know very well. I'd seen him fight like once or twice before on undercards. Came out, said what's up to me, blah, blah. And about 30 minutes later, he comes back to me, right? And it's like in between, I think, the fight before the co-main event. So I'm just like sitting there and he comes back up to me and he like reintroduces himself and he's like saying what's up. And I'm like, the fuck, does this guy have a concussion? What's going on? So I'm just like kind of being quiet, like playing along. And then he just breaks like character all of a sudden. He's like, oh, okay, hey dude, thank you so much. My girl's over there and she is super pissed. And I was like, oh, what happened? He's like, bro, she had to work. She said she was gonna work. She wasn't gonna come. So I invited my other girl. And what happened after the event was over was essentially him running from these two different girls in like opposite directions, both coming like around the arena. Like it was just like a movie. Like this dude was busted sitting there, jumps in the back of my truck, right? I'm leaving the venue. The press conference is over, everything's over. Jumps in the back of my truck, right? And these girls are just standing out there like looking for him. And I'm like ready to leave. I'm like, what the fuck? I just took off with him in the back of my truck. So I pull off like 3 blocks later. And yeah, the rest of the story is basically him escaping through my window, them tracking his phone. It was fucking nuts, dude. It was nuts. But some of these stories that I have permission all these years later to tell, some of these stories that happened to me personally, it could be an adventure when you're covering these fights. You never know what the fuck's going to happen. You never know who you're going to see. You never know who's going to come up to you and be like, hey, I saw what the fuck you wrote, or I saw what you said on TBV, bitch. Like, that's happened before. Yo, I'll tell y'all one day about the time Saddam Ali bitch me the fuck out. And I thought he wanted a fight. But anyway, so we got a show today, that's for sure. Couple things on the docket. We're gonna do wrestling first. So we're gonna do 1 hour on YouTube. After the first hour's over, we're bouncing from YouTube. So if you want to jump on Twitch, X, IG, TikTok, and or Facebook, you are more than welcome to do that, because we're gonna rewatch Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels, HBK. I've been hearing about this match for about a month now. Whether it be in personal conversations I've had with like Supermax or Machine Gun Matt or Ryan or Adam or a number of people that I know personally. And then, of course, the online rhetoric, right? People saying that this weekend isn't going to live up to anything and it's going to be shit. And then utilizing like matches like Michaels and Flair as the gold standard of what a retirement match should look like. Unfortunately, like both of them broke the rule, at some point. So it's kind of like cheapens it. But either way, it's still amazing. Like, Romeo and Juliet is a great story. If you hear like a million years later that actually Juliet was like a meth habit or like a meth head, and like Romeo was really in love with the boy next door and was just using her as like a beard, that wouldn't change the fact that it's a great story. It would just be like bullshit. But at the end of the day, HBK and Flair is how you do it well. That's right, Matt. Nobody ever retires. And when you say nobody, you mean nobody, because literally there's nobody that's ever retired. You look at all the people that are retired, the only ones that have stayed retired are the ones that were injured. And even they came back. Look at Bret Hart. Bret Hart was the most broken wrestler from the 90s, right? No doctor in the world. And there was no doctor in the Western Hemisphere that would clear this guy to wrestle. And yet he found a way to get cleared to wrestle. Look at Daniel Bryan. And that's so funny too with Bryan Danielson, right? How much people talk shit about Adam Cole, right? And they're like, look at Adam Cole's career, look how it's done, and how he's terrible now, and nobody cares because he's broken, because he went to AEW and just did all the dumbest shit in the world and they broke him. It's like, first of all, he was in WWE before that, NXT, and he did a lot of crazy shit there too. Second of all, that guy was on the indies forever, like, pulling crazy stunts in front of gymnasiums filled with like 50 people. But second of all, look at Bryan Danielson, and you can look at that story. This is a guy who worked in WWE, and got hurt and was done and never going to wrestle again. And then what happened? He went to AEW and had an incredible final act. So you never know. I don't think you can really blame any one company. I think it's, a lot of time it's the responsibility of the wrestler, to be able to do what they can. Terry Funk retired 12 times. And then Brett, and he forced Brett to wrestle outside of WWE for his retirement match. And then the fucking dude comes back like 5 times. Wasn't there a documentary too? There was a documentary. What was that documentary? Inside the Ring or Outside the Ring, or fuck, it was a documentary, and it like covered like 3 different wrestling stories at like different places. Like there was 2 guys coming from like a developmental, they were part of the story, but then the finale of the story was Terry Funk's retirement match. And it wasn't televised, but they had cameras there recording the doc, and he wrestled Bret Hart. It was in the final match, and then they even had like the Hart Foundation do like a little like a little schmoz, I think. I think some of the other Funks were there, like family members. Well, I know his family was there, but I forgot what that doc was called. It was a good documentary too. I haven't seen it. Beyond the Ring. Was it Beyond the Ring? Um, Beyond the Ring. No, that's a new one. Okay, so it wasn't called Beyond the Ring. I don't know what it was called. Uh, yeah, I can't find it. This one says 2014, but I know it was way older than that. Oh, Beyond the Mat. Beyond the Mat. That's what it was called. Do y'all remember that one? Yeah, that's what it was. Beyond the Mat. Oh, Daily Motion got it up. Maybe we'll watch that too. So this is what we're gonna do. So for the first hour, we're gonna just do the topics, and then at the start of the second hour, we're gonna piece out YouTube, and then we're going to go over the HBK-FLAIR. We're gonna rewatch that as we get our sentimentals prepared for John Cena's final match on Saturday. And I remind y'all, I will be live on Saturday. I got the kiddos coming over as well. For those that tapped in during the Survivor Series War Games, you got to meet my cousins, Jaden and Sebastian, otherwise known as the Mungia Bros or the Mungia Ball Bros. I don't remember, but it's their baseball like IG TikTok. They're little ballers, and they're actually pretty fucking good. I would not. I think I know baseball well enough at that level, coaching, umpiring, and playing as long as I did, that I could say Sebastian has a for sure shot to be something special in high school, probably college too. And then Jaden's good. I don't know. I don't know if he'll be anything more than a high school player, but yeah, it's a tough gig though, dude. The aspect of like travel ball and year-round ball. Like when I played baseball, it was like leagues and then there were tournaments on the weekends, right? Today, it's like, dude, if you don't play in select ball, in Texas specifically, but California, like all these places where you can play year round, dude, you're behind by the time you're 10 years old, 12 years old, you're behind. Um, Sucks. It's really like a pay to play system. It's become so monetarily beneficial that, and that's the other thing. Like you see coaches out there trying to win games, like with 7-year-olds, right? So they're like half running to home, right? So that the person with the ball, the kid, either throws it to third and they score, or you throw it to home and you go back to third, or they overthrow it and you score. That's the kind of bullshit that's like bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like if you go to a game and you see like a dad or a coach trying to like pull these little bullshit like, bush league stunts to try to score because they want to win a T-ball game or a coach pitch game, like bro, either one of two things is true. That coach and or father has the smallest fucking dick, both physically and metaphorically, or he's an abusive alcoholic. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. But no, they're just, you're a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to win a game for what? You're a fucking accountant, or you work at the fucking HEB as a manager, or you're a fucking plumber, or whatever the fuck you do during the day. That's what you do, right? That fucking kids game that you beat this fucking team of kids, 14-3. It doesn't give you an extra inch on your dick. It doesn't mean that you had the ability to coach at the majors or even the high school level. It just pisses me off a lot. But anyway, they're pretty good though. They'll be over, and we're gonna be doing a bunch of different stuff. I got like a lot of like games prepped for Saturday. It's gonna be fun, I promise you, because there's gonna be a lot of casual wrestling fans there, right? And I expect there's gonna be a lot of casual fans watching, obviously. So I have a lot of games that I have planned. So listen to what I have. So I have this game right now. I'm calling it four squared circle. So if you ever played the game like four squares or like squares, like where you have like four pictures and then it's like which of these things doesn't belong type of situation, like Sesame Street. So I have these, right? And so like one of the first ones I have is uh which of these wrestlers' nickname was sexual chocolate in wrestling? And then I have a picture of like obviously Mark Henry, and then I have a picture of Godfather, and then I have a picture of X-Pac when he did blackface. You remember that with the DX shit? Yo, I can't wait to see people's faces when they're like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" But yeah, I got a lot of different shit coming on Saturday. It's gonna be fun, man. It really is. But anyway, we're gonna get started. We got wrestling topics, we got boxing topics. Actually, let's start with the boxing topic because it's the only one I have for today. So we're just gonna do it real quick. So I am here today to ask you all the big question, and that is, oh, it was supposed to play, but I guess it's not gonna play. Nope, it's definitely not playing. Son of a bitch. All right. Well, we're just going to do it. We're just going to read it. How much Ostarine is too much Ostarine? That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, Sabriel Matias, who you may know as the guy who is getting ready to fight. Where's the story here? Oh, here it is. Shit. I lost it. Okay, so I think I had it saved on my thing. So those of you who were aware, we covered this a few weeks ago. Sabriel Matias, who tested positive for Ostarine in his A sample. His B sample was tested, and it also failed. Or tested positive for Ostarine. Now, these are minimal traces of Ostarine. Okay, that is what needs to be Okay, that's what needs to be clarified. Okay, so this was from Dan Rayfeld. He said, per multiple sources with direct knowledge of the test results, Matias's B sample was also positive for Ostarine, but was, as is expected and how it should be, the same as his A, below the 0.1 nanogram per milliliter threshold for punishment in NY. So fight with Smith remains on. Did you hear that? It remains on. Sending you the champ. I'll send you the link right now, champ. Also open my my thing. So if you want to tap in with your show, you can. Feel free. What the fuck? Okay, so this is a sort of developing story in a way. Not developing in the sense of what's happening, but developing in the sense of the narrative. So obviously, there have been times in the past in other sports, but specifically boxing, where a test comes back positive for something, right? And contamination is a word that they use to suggest, oh, this was a, unfortunate situation where something was contaminated, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, there are other aspects, or there are other instances in which a test can come back and give a false positive, right? Ostarine is not one of those supplements at all. Okay. Ostarine is a SARM. And they are, first of all, they're performance enhancers. That is a fact. What isn't a fact is how well they work. I've never, ever been of the opinion that something like Ostarine can be taken and absolutely benefited from the perspective of a fighter, or not even a fighter, but from the perspective of a endurance athlete. It's not that you can't use Ostarine to better yourself, but it's not gonna deliver you the kind of performance results that will make a good fighter beat a great fighter. I mean, it's just very unlikely. Now, the problem with Ostarine is that when used with other stuff that's way more powerful, I mean, it's almost like Ostarine can be used during a cycle, but can also be used as a post cycle. So the problem with performance enhancing drugs is that they don't work forever, right? And this is a problem with like a lot of people that don't understand this shit, right? You don't have to be an athlete or even a former athlete to like understand sports or athletics, but I do think that you have to have some sort of regard that gives you not empathy, but allows you to correlate the what the fuck's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like Ostarine on its own may not be something that gives a fighter this crazy advantage, right? But it also isn't something that you'd normally see taken on its own for somebody who is really trying to get the full benefit of a performance enhancing cycle. Now, SARMs are tricky because they run differently when it comes to cycles and how long you run them. I've said it many times on the show and I don't care. I'll always be honest about my own use of drugs. And I took steroids. I've taken steroids. I've taken SARMs before. And they work. They definitely work. They don't work like people think they work. It's not a magic drug by any means whatsoever. In fact, SARMs are more harmful in a lot of ways than other things because if you don't work out, if you don't try to utilize the benefits of what it's doing to your body, specifically as it relates to the metabolics and the transferring of proteins through your aminos, all of that is, it's a very specific science, right? You can just take SARMs, you can just take steroids and work out, and there'll be some benefit. But to gain the max benefit out of some of these things, you really have to understand fitness drive. When is the most optimal times for your body to be productive on these kinds of drugs? Now, I make all these points very, very specifically, right? Because I want to be factual about this, right? I'm not going to sit here and just poo-poo at any sort of drug, right, without understanding what it does and what it doesn't do. The problem with this is that, as I said earlier, like, there are contamination aspects, there can be false positives delivered, but with something like SARMs, it's a synthetic. So there's no way to have this in your system without ingesting something. Okay. Now, hold on. Let me send this to Matt real quick. Matt, I accidentally sent it to the group. My bad. The hell? So I want to because there's a lot of people out here and a lot of people that actually cover boxing that seem to have no understanding of this stuff. And probably because a lot of them, they've only been watching boxing for like maybe a few years or like 5, 6 years or whatever. And they haven't seen this kind of stuff before. Like, if you've been watching boxing long enough, like you guys in my community, I know a lot of you have been watching longer than I have. You've seen this before. You know what I mean? You've seen this before. You know what it is. You know what it's supposed to be. And you know all this. It feels sometimes like a lot of these guys kind of play it dumb, on purpose almost, it feels like. What the fuck? Oh, shit. I never even sent it. My bad, champ. Okay, here we go. All right. Sorry about that. I got you. Give me 2 minutes. So anyway, the point I want to make now is to something that Dan Raphael said in response during this comment. So he said, per multiple sources with direct knowledge, this was about the B test. Okay. He said that the fight will go on based on the fact that the sample turned out a positive test below 0.1 nanograms per milliliter. And that's the threshold. So the way that Dan Raphael explained this to Tone, actually, I just realized that was Tone's fucking ex. He asked him, how is the fight able to still go on with the fact that, he tested positive? And he specifically said something along the lines of, is a little bit of Ostarine okay? And Dan had this to say. He said, according to various commissions, yes, Ostarine is okay. The word he used was crumb, a crumb of Ostarine. Think of it like this. You could have a drink and drive home, no problem, and be under the legal limit for alcohol. But if you reach a certain level and were stopped, you get arrested for DUI. Same concept. Well, it is and it isn't. It is and it isn't. First of all, I wasn't aware that VADA had any sort of threshold. In fact, I thought that they had specifically gotten rid of that aspect of it. But whatever. Let's just say that, or I mean, obviously Dan Raphael's a legitimate and mostly accurate reporter. So I'm going to go with his shit. He says it was 0.1 and that's what it's supposed to be, or that's the threshold or whatever. It's under the threshold, 0.1. So, okay. What does that mean? Well, again, the only way that you're going to escape a positive test result that has traces of an amount is by creating a narrative where it is a contamination issue or a false positive because certain proteins and certain meats, metabolically can, produce certain results. But in this case, that's not the case, right? This is a synthetic, meaning that the body doesn't produce this naturally, not at all. Okay. So it had to have been ingested. So you talk about trace amounts. What does that mean? Again, it is not illegal to take steroids in boxing. That's never been the case, right? It's illegal to be on performance enhancers during your fight camp, right? Whenever you set out to fight, that's when you're enrolled in this system. Okay. So for example, right, Ryan Garcia, the news broke just recently that he has agreed to sign up for VADA testing ahead of the Mario Barrios fight, being that it is for the WBC title. Okay. I mean, there's a lot there to unpack, right? I think that it's weird that you're just doing this for a guy that's like, oh, I'm the fucking dude who's going to always be like telling you the truth, or, blah, blah. It's weird, right? It's weird for you to be that guy that just started and, you're always like, just like talking shit about anybody who says the truth. It's like Kendrick said, don't tell no lies about me. I won't tell truths about you. And that's kind of the situation we find ourselves in with this. But, so you have this testing, right? Okay. So Ryan Garcia signs up for this. And now there's a window for which whatever he took, he can be caught. Okay. That window is different for everybody. Now, there are guidelines for about what you're going to find from case to case or study to study or whatever, like person to person. But ultimately, if there are trace amounts, it's because you have used. So again, it's not against the rules to use performance enhancers. It's against the rules to use them when you're being tested and get caught for it, right? Because if performance enhancers were completely not allowed, then there wouldn't be any thresholds for anything, right? There wouldn't be any second warnings or third warnings or suspensions for X amount of time. It would be, you were caught, now you are a cheater, that's how you're labeled, and you're never able to fight again. That wouldn't be fair, right? Because performance enhancers don't make you perform forever at that top level, right? Whatever Big Baby took back in 2020 or whenever it was, assuming he hasn't taken any performance enhancers since, that is well left his body. It is those performance enhancers are no longer helping him or benefiting him right now. Again, assuming that he hasn't taken them since then. So for Matias to test positive with anything is to suggest that he took something, to suggest that it's not in his system now based on his test showing such a small amount, these trace amounts. But again, it's only to say that he has this in his system at this point, right? What was taken before this? What were you using before you were tested, right? What have you been using? What were you on before? And so Real Matias is coming out and he is like coming hard at people, bro. He, Ness let me know that their team wasn't happy with the things that he has had to say on his show. And Matias himself has come out against guys like Coppinger and even Dan for just reporting what they're, getting. And it sucks, dude. It sucks if you're not somebody who used or even knowingly used, right? And now you're in this position. That's got to suck, dude. It really does. But it's not about whether you did something right or wrong. It's about whether boxing is right or wrong. And it would be wrong for boxing to allow anyone to continue forward in a fight, knowing that there is a chance that on the night they show up, their performance is enhanced. Because if this guy was taking whatever he was taking, right, whether it's SARMs or whether SARMs was a compound that he was stacking on top of other compounds, they have done their job. They have done exactly what he was hoping they would do, right? Assuming that he's been working out and, all that, which I'm sure he has, keeping up with his diet and all that. They've already done what they're supposed to do, right? he is right now, if he is a fighter, an athlete who has used performance enhancers recently, then whatever shape he's taking into training camp has been enhanced synthetically. Okay, so like, let's say a fighter goes, he's got to fight, right? A fighter's got to fight, and he's got a 12-week camp, but he hasn't fought in so long that this is a fat camp now, and he's got to spend the first 2 weeks to 4 weeks just losing weight, not preparing for his fight, not strategically preparing for the style of his opponent, not going through game plan, not going through strategy A and B and C if he does this, and D if we do that, and no, we're not going to that. We're not doing target mitts that best utilize the combos that we think will exploit our opponent. No, we're just trying to lose weight. So that 12-week camp, let's say it's a 10-week camp, that 10-week camp that you just blew 4 weeks, 5 weeks on getting in shape to even be ready for the fight, now your time to actually prepare has been cut in half, right? Now imagine that not only when you go into camp is it not a fat camp, it's the opposite. You're not going into a fat camp. You're already in shape. And not only are you in shape, but you're close to fucking fighting shape. Bro, you head into a training camp and you're already in fighting shape. You're ready. Bro, the only thing is not leaving it all in the gym. I mean, that's a tricky thing. Don't get me wrong, but that is a performance enhancer. That is an enhanced performance, despite the fact that that specific compound is not currently fucking with your metabolites, right? What's a good analogy? I can't think of it. Okay, what about this? Here we go. What if it's like you're in like a beauty contest, right? And there's like no cosmetic surgery allowed, right? And so you're like, oh, okay, well, I'll get no cosmetic surgery during the, I don't know what would be like a training camp for a fucking beauty pageant, but like during this month-long pageant, whatever, with all these media events that we're gonna do, you can't get any fucking surgery or whatever, right? But then like one of the people had their fucking nose did like 6 months before that, right? It's already swelled down. It's already like you've already gone through the process of bettering yourself, right? Performance enhancers, while you're taking them, it's like it's going to increase your ability to perform, right? It's going to increase your ability to perform day in and day out. But you've already gone through that now, right? So it's like, oh, I didn't get popped taking steroids. I got popped after I took steroids. That's like basically what it is. Champy, what's going on?
What is up, bro? How are you? You got me clear?
Oh, you sound crystal clear. I will say the light looks better, the blue light, but I wish you had like just like a little bit bright. Like even if it was like a small little ring light one. Like
I know I gotta give me one of those ring
that would
lights.
be great.
I got like a lantern plugged up right now just to prove
I have one. It's like this big, and you can like change it into a ring or a square. I can send it to you. Yeah. But anyway, champ, how's it going? How's the day today, champ?
Ooh, long day today, bro. Long day today.
You ready for that Christmas break?
Yeah, I'm ready for just a good solid day off, time with the fam. You know what I'm saying? It's always better.
All right, tell me, how excited are you from a 6 to midnight situation that we got Christmas Day cowboy action on Netflix, bro?
I mean, look, it's always cool.
You got to be happy even with the Texans flag in the back. You got to be happy with that.
Yeah, bro. I mean, because we had the Christmas game last year against the Chiefs, and that was arguably one of the worst days of the season because we lost bad. We lost Tank Dell. We lost Aziz Al-Shair. Very bad day, but it's always good to have. It's another one of those things and just nice, just like Thanksgiving, bro. Like you normally, because normally
just like Thanksgiving,
me and you probably before then the NFL took this day. We were watching the NBA. The NBA was on during Christmas. You know, they had a couple games Christmas Eve, then they had
Lakers,
Christmas Day
bro.
game.
Lakers every Christmas. Kobe, my boy. Like, yeah, hell yeah. That was a
You
big
add
part.
more
Lakers
to
a big
watch.
part of Christmas.
You add more to watch to it, and it kind of just make it like, not that you're not trying to spend time with your family, but it helps, make time go by, man. You're just there, it's
Oh
on in
yeah.
the background. It's nice to watch the game. But let me tell you, your team losing on Christmas can really fuck up Christmas. Let me tell you.
Yeah, fuck
Let
yeah.
me tell you.
Hey, and it's worse when you lose and you're like, oh, okay, well, our season's over. And then the badass Super Bowl champs lose. And you're like, ugh, can y'all just get ahead of us and beat us for the year? Like, I'm tired of maybe thinking we have a chance, knowing deep down we really don't. Knowing deep down we really don't. But I'll tell you what, though, real quick, Matt, this has been the best year for me to have finally officially become a Texans fan, to become a fan, right? I've never understood why now that I didn't want to fuck with the Texans. They're an AFC team. Like, why do I give a fuck as a Cowboy fan? Why? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, what do you think about this Matias stuff, man? Is it okay that he's fighting Trace Amounts, Trace Amounts? Or do you have a different position on this?
I mean, I don't like it either way because, the fact that any amount of Austrian was in his system, other sanctioning bodies, other sanctions around the country wouldn't allow him to fight.
Yep.
And the fact that New York has a limit is insane to me. A limit on any kind of performance enhancer is insane to me, especially for a fisticuff competition that we have here.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me. And the fact that Subriel tried to come out on his own social media saying, why don't they talk about this? And they never talked about my B sample. And then we ask about the B sample and you get crickets. I heard, like you said, Ness this morning, he said they were talking to the team and they were like, yeah, give us a second. And I'm like, bro, wouldn't you want to immediately come out and be like, yes, they opened the B sample, they tested it, it said this, blah, 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 right?
Yep.
Not like, oh, well, we're busy right now. Give us, we'll get with you when we get with you. Like, bro, like, wouldn't you want to defend your innocence more than ever right now? Like, look, this is what.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't beat it up.
Nah, that was mainly it. Because, like, bro, like, if anything was alleged against me and I knew it was true and I had the factual information to prove it false, then, like, I would be like, look, it's, it's right here. I have it. It says this. This is what really went down. But it's just like, yeah, I don't like it. If you're New York, you gotta crack down on this. There should be no allowed limit on any of this stuff, bro. So that's my big opinion on it all. Outside of whether they're getting a cut of the purse, the boost from the attention. I mean, like, bro, it's not like this is on like a big platform. It's not on the zone. It's a fight on payperview.com that's probably nobody's gonna see it.
Yep.
So it's like, why are we slapping this guy on the wrist? Sure, the WBC's putting him on probation, but like, why? Like, to me, as a champion, you should be year round tested as a champion. Just
absolutely.
Look at how, like, there's only I'm pretty sure you can count the fighters on one hand that did 365. I think the only big name I can think of is Nonito because just they sponsored him, and then Devin Haney constantly on the testing. So it's like, man, to me, they need to crack down on it. They don't need to, trace amounts or not. I understand, one cup, you're not drunk, but if I have enough, if I have enough drinks and I wait a while and I drink enough water, I'm also not drunk either. So it's, there's a difference between only having one drink and then trying to mask that drink the same way with these performance enhancers, bro. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I agree, dude. You said so much there that really, really makes sense. It makes me wonder this, and I just posted this on X to let people know where we're headed with this conversation. Because I saw him go on Ness, right? I saw him go on the Boxing Voice. I saw the team. I talked to Ness. I had him on last week. Shout out to Ness. And he told me, what was going on with the Matias team and how they felt about what he was saying on air. And I've always known Ness, to be honest. I've never known him. I over the years, we would get a lot of shit, the DAZN voice, the Matchroom voice, the PBC voice. And it was always different. It was like, this is the Canelo hater. Oh, now this is the Canelo lover. And it's like, that made me realize the way the fandom works, a long time ago. But that said, you see him and his team, they're going hard, bro. They are going hard after a narrative, and they're trying to spin it in their favor. Matt, is the state of media in sports, in politics, in America, in the world, at a fragile enough place today that someone like Matias with a smart enough team could spin a narrative that escapes the trouble of this? Are we in a shaky enough time media wise that he can spin a narrative that gets him out of this?
I mean, yeah, anybody can, but it's the fact that you can try to discredit whoever says anything about you. You see it across all types of formats of media. Here in sports, you can see it in boxing, you see it in MMA, you see it when like look at NFL players discredit insiders about their injuries all the time, bro. Like Joe Mixon hasn't played a single game, and he tried to say Ian Rappaport was a liar about his foot, and he still hasn't played. So it's like,
Dude,
he's trying to discredit everybody, and it's the same thing,
good call.
just like in
Good
politics.
call.
In politics, what senator, what governor, any president has tried to discredit, like, oh well, these people just all they say is the bad, and they never say anything that I've done correct, or
Yep.
they only report the smug rumors that you see across the media. It's everywhere, but you can spin anything, and then there's certain people in this media that are scared to lose relationships telling the truth, or telling how they really feel. There's no like, it's not like ass kissing per se, but it's like you're
No.
afraid to say something against that sounds against that person enough to where they think you're talking down on them, and that's not really ever the case. Well, to me, it's just like, of course, like, yeah, you got to get ahead of it, but like, if you are claiming such innocence, it's the same thing like happened with Ryan, bro. Like, Ryan was claimed his innocence, but then we saw the bullshit when he was saying like, oh, it was this person, it was that person, it was this, it was ashwagandha, it was this and that and this, and they never. Everybody was like, no, that wasn't it. That wasn't it at all. And they found Ryan, and the problem he
This
was in.
has been such a good take from you. It really has, because you didn't just see, you know what a lot of people been doing today? I'm not going to name names, but I've been seeing a lot of people online and they're just talking. They don't really have anything to say. They're like, oh, this is bad because we shouldn't have steroids. Okay. Thanks. Thanks. Thanks for your dynamite dropping. Okay. At the end of the day, Ness said it best last week on this show. Boxing is broken. And it is now infected to the point of the fans, right? Because before, I think I could put everything on the networks and the promoters. I really do. They were adamantly refusing to put the best fights on, right? In the mid 2000s to the late or early 2010s. And still, and I could do that, but ultimately what I couldn't do was lie. I couldn't lie and get away with it. It wouldn't work, and even when guys like Floyd or Pacquiao try to skirt their, media situations that had them in a bad light, they were always able to figure a way to make boxing the focus, right? Let's focus what I'm doing here. Don't worry about, that video of me beating that girl, Tank, but just go ahead and keep talking about it's like it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? It doesn't work that way. And not only that, but you're one of the guys who was like, oh, we have to fix this sport, and this sport is dirty. It's like everybody has the same bullshit to say until it's them, and then they get caught. And it's like, but the other part was Ness was like, I don't get it. Nobody should be taking anything. Nobody should be failing anything. There is a list, and every banned substance is on it. So there's no, there's no room for failure. I don't agree with that, Matt. And I want to know what you think, because I look at it and I say anyone who sits there and says there's not a reason and there's nothing that no good reason, blah, blah, blah. I look at and I say, you never played sports at a high enough level. And I say it because I did play sports with people that were on steroids. In fact, a good amount of the football team from my high school was on steroids. Most of the guys that ended up going D1, steroids. Some of the guys that went D2, not even on scholarship, were on steroids. This is 2005. Okay, so steroids is infected the high school, you know what I mean, and all that. But we go back to this thing where in 2000 they had this study and they asked a bunch of Olympic athletes if you could take a pill that would guarantee you die early but it guarantees the gold medal. Would you take it? Like 90% of them said yes. It was like a resounding yes, of course. So what do you think, Matt? Is there, not I'm saying there's no good excuse, right? I'm not saying that there's a good excuse. But is it fair to just be like, oh, these people are fucking terrible. These people are terrible human beings. I mean, ultimately, a lot of these people come from the poorest places, Matt, and these opportunities are based on winning a fight. Matt, what do you think? Can you see it both ways, or is it about protecting the sanctity of the sport and the lives that are at stake?
Obviously, like, especially in the sport of boxing, bro, you got to protect the people in the ring. That should always be the number one thing to do, protect them. And the bad part about that is, and this is across everywhere, bro. And in anything competitive, there's going to be cheating, and then there's going to be people assuming that people are cheating, and they're going to cheat too. That's the main thing. Like, Mario, how many people do you think, like, even in your situation, like in high school, how many like kids heard rumors or word about other kids doing this thing, and you're like, man, well, if they're doing it, man, shit, if it's working.
I thought about it in high school. I thought about it in high school. I walked in on I almost said it. No, I'm gonna say it. I walked in on one of our catchers. All right. And our best lineman on the team, on the football team, was shooting up our catcher. It was 7:45. No, it was 8:45 a.m. About 20 minutes before class started, 9:05. And I walked into the locker room. I passed two people on my side with the showers through my like on the side of my vision. And then I stopped, I stepped back, I tucked my head in, and they both looked at me, smiled, and he was literally bent over and he had his hand on his ass. It was weird, but at the same time, I was like thankful that I didn't walk in on anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was like a situation where it happened, and it was just funny. I'm in high school, right? Like, I'm telling literally everyone, right? And I'm like, dude, I just saw fucking blah blah's ass, dude. Yes, so and so had his hand on his ass, like he was about to fucking spank it. And first of all, he did spank it, by the way. I heard it. I heard the slap because he said he had to numb it before he stuck it in. I was like, you just slapped his ass, and I heard it. But I remember it was like a couple days later, and one of my friends that was on the team was like, dude, would you ever take steroids? And it hit me right then and there. Oh shit.
That's just how as easy as it starts.
I literally, but my head hadn't even hit there yet. I didn't think about it like that, Matt. I didn't, not originally. I thought, oh man, I hope my friend's okay. I hope this isn't bad for my friend. I hope his health isn't being at risk. And then days later, I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm facing a pitcher next Tuesday. And now I know for a fact him and my catcher share the same dealer, and he's on roids, and I'm not. And that's not fair. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was good enough to play at a JUCO. I was good at, and first of all, here's the other thing that people don't know, right? Most colleges, specifically when it comes to baseball, you don't have to be very good to play. If you can pay and show up to the school and pay your tuition, like you have the money to do that, you can pretty much walk on almost any squad. They need the practice squad people. They need, you know what I mean? So like, if you want to say you played ball and like go to a JUCO, I've known some of the worst baseball players, guys that were, if they were a C, I was an A, and I'm not an A. Guys that really sucked, and they played at JUCOs, and they actually played. I mean, they didn't start, but they got playing time.
Yeah, bro. But then, like I said, it's across everything. Like, bro, there's cheating in fishing. There's people that stick weights in fish to get, just to get an edge, get ahead. And but like I said, there's no excuse for it. But like it's across everywhere. Like, think about it, bro. Some people say the best time that baseball ever had was in the steroid era, and they were like, well, it made it better. They didn't, but nobody didn't really care that. Look at these people's health now. Look at what happened with McGuire. Look at what happened with all these people that were just taking roids just to get ahead.
Yeah,
and
they made millions of dollars.
It made them millions, but look what it cost them. At the same time, bro, it's like I said.
Well, let me ask you. Well, okay, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Would you rather be Barry Bonds, a guy who probably lived the best career, one of the best careers we've ever seen, right? Top of his game, right? Played for years, but then ostracized from the game, never allowed to be a Hall of Famer, right? Completely blacklisted to a point, right? Or would you rather be someone like, no, Craig Biggio's too good. Dan Ugla, no, he was kind of too good too. Would you rather be like the backup right fielder that gets like 100 at bats a year, but you know, like
You just not
you're
known.
welcomed in baseball, you know what I mean? Like you're not a blacklist. Like what would you rather be? Like would you rather take the steroids and win and then be ostracized later?
Bro, I would rather be the backup right fielder, bro, because I'm at least in the league. I'm welcomed. I might not be
Damn,
remembered,
bro.
but,
Is
it's
that
like
yeah, but is that because but is that because you
I wouldn't want
consider
something like
people's
that
thoughts of
attached
you
to
too
me.
much?
You know what I mean?
But why? Why though? Your family's set,
Because it
right?
ruins your legacy at the end of the day. I understand the money and everything is cool, but like when it's like when people like me dig into the history of things that scars you and that mars you, that take to me that like yeah they were good, but like he was on steroids, bro.
You think Barry Bonds or Alex Rodriguez give a fuck what we think the fans think?
I don't.
I'm not that's I'm asking you honestly.
I
I
don't,
don't.
but the fact that they defended themselves lets me know that they care that what other people think about them at some
Oh,
cat.
absolutely. No, I know they are very listen, you are not listen. Here's one thing I know about Alex Rodriguez. Never met the guy, and I'm not saying this is a fact, but this is for sure my truth. I live in a world where I am positive Alex Rodriguez gives way too much fucks about what people think. The way he dressed, the way he talked, the way he presented himself, the girls he would be with. I mean, look, I'm not saying talking shit, right? But if you've seen the documentaries I've seen, we both know that, there's some taste in there's some
Yeah,
question to his sexuality. So it's like, if there's a situation where he had these beards or like whatever, like I'm not trying to be funny or anything like that. I'm just saying like he clearly cared what people thought about him. Like there's no question.
bro. And then but like at the same time, if I was to be condemned from the game from anything, I'd like want to be like Pete Rose. I would want to go out for getting caught betting that my team is gonna win the game, which I still thought was bullshit. That they still they put him in the Hall of Fame after he fucking died. Because to me, he did nothing wrong if he's betting for his team to win. Unlike some of the things you see now where people are betting, they're getting their highest odds on their under and they're telling their friends bet the under because I'll make sure I only
So
make
so
two
taking
shots.
steroids is worse than betting on your team. I agree with that by
Yeah,
far. But is steroids worse than betting against your team and like shaving points or like
it's
what
equally
what
as
would be
bad.
worse for you? What it's
It's equally as
equally as
bad.
bad.
It's equally as
Really?
bad
You
because
think taking steroids
you're intentionally trying to do one thing. You're either trying to intentionally win and give yourself an edge and just do whatever it takes, or you're fucking over the people around you on the other hand and you're shaving points. Like that's like to me, both of those things are bad. Both of those things should be condemned and you should be, I'm a very harsh punisher when it comes to things of anything like that, where that shit's for life. If you get caught, steroids, life. Point shaving, life. You know, fucking margarito, hand wraps, got cement in them, life. You're not welcome here. Go away. But that, like,
dude,
it's
I
on the harsh
don't
side.
know. I don't know. Here, okay, let me ask you this. Do you think it would be crazy? Would it be crazy? Like, you think you would stop watching baseball together and ruin the sport if they were to legalize steroids in baseball?
It would depend if it got like fucking if everybody's fucking hitting home runs, bro. Then like I would be like, okay, now we're just watching, we're just watching big league baseball fucking on a stream somewhere. Like to me, like if everybody's doing it and everybody's just hitting home runs, like okay, like it would be like as if they got the casual to watch for that sole reason because that's what all the casual people that don't watch baseball that try to watch baseball they're like, oh, it's not as exciting. I miss all the home runs. I miss all the hits and big
Yeah,
plays. Like, bro, no, like like me and you, we understand and accept and like the intricacies of baseball. Like can watch
absolutely.
me and you can watch a perfect pitching display for one guy that dominates 7 innings, or we can watch a beautiful, you know, 6-3-2 play and just get you out of the inning. And like, man, that was beautiful. That was great. So
Yeah,
it
I
ruin it if it got
definitely
super out of hand. Like I would rather not know. I would rather.
I definitely felt like baseball was a lot more fun, obviously, when more guys were hitting 40 plus. That said, I'll tell you something, dude, and I might sound crazy. I feel like I got propagandized a lot when it came to steroids. I think that what ended up happening was this notion of, oh, it's bad, it's cheating, it's blah blah blah, right? And then we saw the baseball players, right? And they were in front of Congress, you know, in Capitol Hill, and there they were, and Rafael Palmeiro, I mean, he looked like he could barely read. You know, Mark McGuire looked like this fucking meathead Neanderthal. Like they all presented themselves as ways that they weren't. Because go ahead.
Like McGuire, remember his head was like really swole on one side,
bro.
Like, yeah, they look like longer as they look like they're fucking dying in front of everybody.
Bro, they like all of a sudden, all of them, right? First of all, they all played like in a prime for like twice as long as your prime's supposed to last, right? Some of them had resurgences and shit. And then you look like you aged a decade in like 3 months, which was crazy to me. But that said, right, like it all turned into this thing where, oh, it's bad. And then after that, what happens? The wrestlers, right? And the wrestlers have been devastating to the idea of performance enhancers. For me, I feel this stigma that exists only exists for one reason. And again, I might sound crazy, but the only reason to me that this stigma exists in America the way it does, and not everywhere else, by the way, is because the Russians were better than it at us. That's why. I think that if steroids were something that America had the hand in over the Russians, probably be legal in baseball. Honestly, I think it might. But I don't want to demonize people for being overly competitive. You can do something wrong, right? And not be a bad person. Like, is Sabril Matias a bad person? I don't know. I think that doing what you're doing in the media and like literally trying to change narratives, right? Like for the sake of your own shit, that might be worse than what he actually did or took, because ultimately I don't know how much SARMs on their own actually benefit a endurance athlete's performance. But I am of the opinion that no performance enhancer should be taken in a sport for which physical contact is the crux of it, right? So like football, I don't think, even basketball, I don't think there should be steroids allowed, right? Because there's so much physicality. Baseball, on the other hand, I don't know. You know, I've gone back and forth over the last few years in that it doesn't. Listen, if you think Barry Bonds hit 70 home runs because he was on steroids and steroids alone, it's because you're fucking retarded and you never played the game and you don't know how hard it is to hit a changeup when a guy throws a fucking hard ass fastball. So steroids don't give you badass hand-eye coordination, right? Steroids don't magically make you like more powerful in every inch of your body. In fact, the muscle aspect of what they do isn't even like the best benefit. The best benefit is being able to go to the gym every fucking day, right?
It makes reflexes better.
Exactly. And when you get to a point where you have, when you're able to like deadlift or squat real heavy like twice a week, dude, that's insane. That's insane. The body's not meant to recover that way, right? And that's why a lot of freak injuries happen right after somebody takes it. So again, if you're in this physical situation, of course, I don't think you should be allowed to fight. I don't think Matias should be allowed to fight, because if there's trace amount, that means that there was more than a trace amount before that. Also, if that's the case, then what you're saying is it's not illegal to take steroids in boxing. It's illegal to take steroids while you have a fight in boxing or while you're in training camp or while you're in, you know what I mean? That's a different notion altogether.
And that's a major problem in the sport too, because like, you know, why is it only when you're preparing for a fight, not when, you know, a year round when you're just training, when you're trying to like, bro, like how many of these guys do we know cut 30, 40 pounds to get to a weight class?
Exactly.
And then they're magically 30, 40 pounds bigger on fight night, bro. Like, how do we not know that's because of it? How do we not know?
Thank you so much for saying that, dude. Thank you so much for saying that.
Ryan kind of now, but like I don't know if you've seen like the Instagram things that have gone around with Ryan like doing the body shot challenge again. He looks fucking massive, bro. His arm twitch doesn't match his body. He's never been this big, but now magically he's ready to be tested. Like, what does that tell you? And I understand, like, you know, Sabril Matias isn't like a, you know, he's not a bad guy, but you know, people that I see, you know, I know people that that I know are good people, but you know, I've seen them take petty shit from the store, and I'm not gonna leave that motherfucker alone in my house. So
Yeah. Exactly. So, oh, well said. And I love that, dude. You're a good guy, dude. I don't know if I've ever said that to you, but I feel like if you were ever to like run for office, I would vote for you. Like listen, I'm gonna tell you this. I wouldn't vote for my brother. I wouldn't vote for my cousin Adam. I'd literally campaign against my cousin Adam. There are like 3 people in my life that I would vote for: my wife, my dad, and you, honestly. Because I feel like you're a person who looks beyond bullshit. You know what I mean? You don't get caught up in propaganda super easy. And at the end of the day, you're willing to give a fair shot to the other side. I try to be that way, dude. I try to be that way, right? Like I tried to take my feelings out and just use my brain, right? I think though it's difficult with this sport that I love so much because I've seen so much bad shit, and that's what bothers me. And you said it so well. It's like all these people that I see, all they are to me are just like moral high grounders, or what is it called? Like they're virtue signalers. That's
Yeah.
all they are, dude. They're like just wanting to take the moral high ground. That's all they want, right? They want to be like, oh, poo poo, you're bad, blah blah. That's all. Because these same people, right? It's so easy to be against performance enhancers, right? For all these same people that are like talk this shit, right? They won't say anything when it comes to weight. They won't say anything when it comes to discrepancies between sanctioning bodies and different states and athletics commissions and things like that when it comes to how heavy you can be on fight night, how heavy you can be from weigh into this, how heavy you can be 30 days out, 2 weeks out, whatever. All those things are as important, if not more important, than performance enhancers, because at the end of the day, we can never be ahead of performance enhancers, but we could be ahead of the dehydration issue and the weight cut issue that exists in boxing. Matt, I want to take it to the wrestling. You ready?
Let's do it.
I said, are you ready? No. I thought it was cool that Joe did what he did, Samoa Joe. I thought it was cool, and I thought it was even cooler that John Cena acknowledged it. First and foremost, do you think WWE had a problem with it at all?
No. I mean, when it comes
Really?
to
Acknowledging the company that
I
they're
think when it comes
literally
to
trying
retirement,
to go ahead.
I think when it comes to retirements, Triple H is more willing to be a part of that world to acknowledge that other things exist, mainly because he likes to shit on them. But they're a part of the world where you acknowledge that this stuff exists.
Mm,
To me, like, look, they acknowledge, like, you got to remember the Monday Night Raw after Sting's last match. They acknowledged on commentary that he retired and that that he had one of the craziest matches they've ever seen. And congratulations, everybody across all platforms. If there's few people that you have the ultimate respect for, John Cena is one of those people. And I see, like, it's no problem to give him any kind of salute, any kind of sign of respect. And then, it's not like John Cena went out on SmackDown and said Samoa Joe's name in AEW and you should watch his TV. He was on
true.
his Instagram giving another one of his, not like, this one was not so vague because usually he just posts random shit and he leaves it open for interpretation. But it's an
Exactly.
acknowledgement. If the people in the wrestling world and the people like you and I know that John Cena and Samoa Joe started out training together early on in their career out in California, and that picture got passed around Twitter today, and it's an acknowledgement because real recognize real, and it goes back to reminding you that a lot of our guys that we watched aren't long for the TV world anymore, bro. Cena's gone
Ooh, well
Saturday.
said.
AJ and Samoa Joe have both said, next year that's it. When their contracts are done, it's time to hang it up. We saw the Dudleys finally walk away. Edge is gonna walk away at some point at the end of his career. Chris Jericho is gonna have his final run. It's a more of a, like, man, wow, this is crazy. All these guys are, they're leaving, and it's up to the new breed. But yeah, to me, I don't think they cared because like I said, it's the ultimate respect. People, you know, it's not like I said, it's not like he said anything on their programming, but it's just, an acknowledgement of, hey, salute to you too. Respect to Samoa Joe because Samoa Joe's another one. To me, Samoa Joe's one of the better wrestlers of all time, one of the more underrated wrestlers of all time, specifically. You talk to me about like who's underrated. It has some of the best. in work progress in wrestling matches of all time, I would say Samoa Joe. A lot of Samoa Joe's runs, bro. Like and you know, we've talked privately in our group. I've always said they need to put the world title on Samoa Joe, whether it was AEW or whenever he spent his time in the WWE. You need to
You
put the
did.
world title
You
on him
did.
because he's one of the best guys to have it on.
Dude, you have said for years on this show, and I want to say this, dude. I said this to somebody earlier today. I said, dude, I think Samoa Joe, when it's all said and done, maybe a top 10, top 20 all-time great. Like just think back on his body of work and how good he is today, even.
Yeah,
And I remember, dude, you know who made me really respect Samoa Joe? It was Matt. Because you told me, we talked about the famous triple threat, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. I mean, like, just go down the TNA lineage and you're just going to see banger after banger. I mean, this guy really carried the company in a lot of ways. Was its MVP year in and year out, because unlike Kurt, he was a guy who you could depend on. Unlike Jeff, he wasn't going to show up high in the ring. So it's like, what is it worth? Is it worth having that Jeff Hardy pop charisma, right? But you also have to deal with the unprofessionalisms that come with somebody, dealing with substance abuse.
yeah,
Or would you rather have a guy like Samoa Joe that is a worker, is great on the mic, is great on all fronts, and is the utmost professional?
yeah, bro. I completely agree. It's like you said. You go back and look at his body work, even in early Ring of Honor, bro. His matches with Punk. That was one of the few times, like, where I would go and look up Samoa Joe after seeing him for the first time on TNA, and like, man, wow, this guy is incredible, bro. The things he's able to do, especially at his size, and the way he imposes himself, the way he carries himself is in the ring as a character. He could be the badass that people love, or he could just be the top heel of your whole company. And like you said, there's nobody better that you can truly depend on that's more professional than Samoa Joe.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
when was the last
absolutely.
time you've ever heard something bad or a rumor about Samoa Joe, bro? It's
Never, dude, never. And by the way, if you watch Peacock, the shit, what's it called? Twisted Metal.
yeah, Twisted Metal,
Dude,
he's great.
he's fucking good.
Yeah,
And here's the thing, let me tell you, the I think that the dumbest people are congregating on a single platform today. Okay, and I'm not going to say that platform because I don't want to get kicked off of it, because they've been really restricting my videos lately on this platform,
mhm,
and I'm not going to mention it, but the biggest morons come together because they say the dumbest things, and then so many people like it, right? And one of the dumbest things somebody said to me the other day, or that's actually like a while ago, it was like in the summer, and they quote tweeted something I said. They were like, I said something like Samoa Joe's brilliant, actor, blah, blah, or something like that. And he was like, how fucking hard is it to do half the job? Because Samoa Joe doesn't do the voiceover.
yeah, and then what?
Who is it? Who is
I
it
don't
that does
remember
the
the
voiceover?
actor's
It's
name.
that really funny actor
Yeah,
from Arrested Development. He's hilarious. And he's got a great voice for it too. I mean, obviously they use some sort of filter over it, right? But it is infinitely harder, I believe, to just do the
the
physical
physical
work
work
that
that
Samoa
Samoa
Joe
Joe.
puts into that show, that he puts into that performance. I mean, how could it not be harder, right? You're having to assume and take liberties with things that you don't know, you know what I mean? Like where he's going to emphasize something, this guy is in a different room in some comfortable air-conditioned studio delivering his lines. Samoa Joe's out there, spending hours in makeup, in a hot ass set, living out of a trailer. Like, but it made me find out something. So we got into this whole fight, right? And then I started getting stuff on my timeline. And one of the things that popped up was Anthony Mackie being interviewed on a movie he was doing. I don't remember what it was. I think it was Captain America, actually. And he said that Samoa Joe was great. He was like, dude, this guy is brilliant. He's amazing. He's awesome. And not only is he awesome, this
This
dude
dude
learned all of his lines. Samoa Joe learns all of the lines that are delivered, despite the fact that they're voiced over and his character is dubbed later. He learns all of the lines.
yeah.
Dude, stop it right there. Stop
Like,
it. If Samoa Joe is not one of the most professional men in all of entertainment, fuck wrestling, in the entertainment business.
Bro,
I mean, that's just a fact. It's a fact. It's not true. It's a fact. Like the sun comes up tomorrow, Samoa Joe is going to show up on time, ready to deliver his best performance, whether it's in front of 100 people at a bingo hall or whether it's for a streaming company worth billions. It doesn't matter. And that kind of shit, dude, it doesn't get enough respect in this day and age.
To me, that doesn't really matter either, bro, because like, there's people, like if you're like me, right? And I love old horrors and slasher movies, bro. Like
Oof,
I
yes.
know that
Favorite. Give me your favorite real quick.
I know it's Friday the 13th.
Nice.
But I like, in that being said, like I know one of the best forms of Jason was played by Kane Hodder, bro. I know that he's the man behind the mask. I know that like he had the perfect form and size. Just like I know that Nick Castle was Michael Myers in the Halloween movies, bro. Like that, like, and they don't even fucking speak, but they just do the motions and they make the character come to life. That's the difference, bro. Like it's to me, like it's not the same thing as like, Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy being, people's actual Joker and Batman. When they debate like who is who, but like when these people like this play these roles to where all I need is their body, but their body's the one that's making it believable with all their actions, how they patrol that. It's what is the shame? And it's the same thing for Samoa Joe. When I seen Samoa Joe have this role, I'm like, bro, he's perfect for this because I played the games. So it's like, man, yeah, hell yes. If I was to pick anybody in the world, bro, Samoa Joe's the guy for the job.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree so much. So he did the the acknowledgement, and I'll be honest, I do think WWE might be sour about it a little bit. Not enough to say anything to John, not enough to, I mean, what are they going to do about it, right? To Cena, nothing, absolutely nothing. But I would assume internally there would be some, kind of like fuck, because at the end of the day, like I said, this is a company who is being as competitive as they've ever been when it comes to counter programming, right? And you and Supermex and Abe have said it best all year. You said that final Cena match was going to be one of the most watched, and casual fans across the world that have either fallen out of love with wrestling or just life and adult shit got them, too busy. Which is sad. Take the time for yourself. If you're a parent, it's great to be an active parent, and that's awesome. But dude, take the time for yourself. It ends up being better for your kids because you're happier the times you're with them. You don't feel as resentful. But anyway, all of that said, John Cena this week of all weeks probably has more casual eyeballs on him than ever before when it comes to wrestling. And how many people saw that clip that he posted, right? Even though it's a snapshot, and said, what is that? What wrestling is that? I think I know that guy. What is that? That's a wrestling? Would John Cena watches it, huh? Well, let me check it out, right? And again, maybe that sounds like a stretch, right? Maybe I'm being too creative with my assumptions, but I just feel like, again, a company who's trying to make sure nobody knows that AEW exists, they probably got a lot of people that know they exist today or off of that Cena post than this whole year, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's believable too. But it's the fact, like, yeah, they could possibly go, check it out. But if they, it's about how many of them will stay. That's the bigger thing. I I don't know. Like you said, they could probably be like, what the fuck? You could have just had Samoa Joe's face. I can see that it says AEW Winter is coming in the background. You could have done something, but to me, like, John Cena is on that level of a Stone Cold and an Undertaker and The Rock, where they can, their sins get forgiven. So I think, I can see it too, but it's like, how many of those people do you think are actually going to stay?
Agreed. So I want to stay on the Cena stuff, and ask you, shit. I want to ask you real quick. We are almost or about 48 hours away from the night. Your pick Does Cena go over on Gunther? Will he win his final match, or does Gunther get put over?
Man, I have been back and forth.
We both yeah, we all have, right? Except for Mex. Mex is the only one that stayed true
for like a while up to
yeah.
this point. And to me, I feel like the right thing to do is have Cena win this match. You know, I don't think John Cena should go out on back-to-back losses like this. Then I'm not the one saying that, you know, Gunther doesn't deserve it. Because like for one, I don't think it's a matter of who deserves it or not for that, you know, the guy that he put over was Dominic Mysterio. Let's make that 100% clear. The guy he put over and gave that boost was Dominic. This is more of who can give Cena the best match on his way out. And when you go through the Rolodex of people that they have, I think Gunther was one of the best choices that they had for somebody that hadn't had a match with him yet.
Well
And
said.
not only that, it's kind of like how I was telling you and Abe the other day when y'all were talking about it. There's no better big bad for Super Cena to conquer than Gunther, especially with the way Gunther has been returned and he's been more dominant and more ruthless in his return in this tournament. I understand, like, you know, he started off slow against Javon Evans, but the whole way, nobody can say that match was bad. Everybody said, "Wow, look at that match that he had with Javon. Look at that match that was Solo's best match." Like, when was the last time you said that? And then, you know, him and LA Knight reenacted their stand and deliver match from NXT circa 2022, bro. It's been fantastic. To me, he fits the role perfectly of something for Cena to conquer, but I still do not know because I see the narrative and the spin on he's gonna make the guy who never gives up give up, and I see why people don't want that to happen. Especially because to me, the right thing to do, especially if Cena's gonna go first, like they're saying, if Cena goes first, Cena needs to win because if Cena loses and if Cena taps, you know, who's gonna watch the rest of that show? Even and in the crowd, who's gonna stay? Who would you stay after that? Hey, that's hard, bro.
Oh, damn. I didn't even think of that. You know, Abe suggested that the crowd could possibly leave just after the Cena match in general, but I didn't think of that. In protest, everyone stands up and oh my God, that would be huge, dude. Huge.
Especially because, like, you know, like to me, that's why I didn't. That's what didn't make the most sense. If he wants to put on for all this young talent to get this grand stage, you got to think and understand, like, bro, they're gonna leave after you're done. You know what I mean? Like, nobody, like, how many people stay for the dark match before and after the show? Like, bro, like when you're done, they're probably gone. You know, there's
yeah,
nobody.
Dude.
Like, bro, like,
man,
I mean, like,
so on
it's
the
the same
button
thing,
with
like,
this.
in boxing. Like, how many people do you think know, like, there's fights going on before the doors open to the arena? You know?
Oh yeah.
There might be a
No,
fight or two after that.
exactly. And for some of these people, and this is why, look, I know that you have to have casual fans for a promotion to exist, right? Wrestling wouldn't be at this level without casuals. You know, boxing, the only way it's ever coming back is if casuals get involved and interested again, right? That's why it was on ABC in the past and, you know, on the 3 major networks. That said, though,
Yeah.
we live in an era where it's almost like I'm too important for the undercard, right? That's like the message I get from like celebrities that show up at the main event, right? Like I was covering this fight one time in Texas, and DJ Kane.
Yeah.
Okay, so DJ Kane, who used to be in the group with AB Quintanilla called the Cumbia Kings, he shows up like last fucking minute, right as the blue corner is walking into the ring, right? His fucking cousin fought on the undercard, dude, or his nephew or some shit, right? And it's like, and all because he wanted to show up and make sure, like, he had 2 girls on his side. He was married, by the way. 2 girls on both arms, dressed all in white, fucking grills, hair's braid. Like, you know, he looked fucking nuts, dude. Like, why people show up like it's the fucking prom to a boxing fight? Don't get me wrong, dress nice.
It's loud, ain't it?
It's nice.
Loud.
I like it. You know what I'm saying? But you going over there looking like fucking RuPaul and shit.
Taking my wife to her first fight. I think it was who was it? It was Earl and Ugas. And I told her, I was like, she's like, what do I wear? I was like, well, you can wear a number of things. Like, you can be like me, just wear a t-shirt, be comfortable. We're going to be in there all day. Or you could dress up like it's prom because you're going to see that.
Yeah, for real.
And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. We got there. She's like, oh my God, everybody's in a dress or in a nice
Yo,
suit.
girls in heels, dog,
Yeah,
walking down the
bro.
stairs.
That's,
Oh, I'm always like, they're about to fall. They're going to
that's a
fall.
mistake because your feet, bro, you're going to be there for like 4 hours. Your feet are going to be
I'm telling
hurting.
you, bro.
I say the
I'm
same thing when I
telling
see women in Vegas with heels. I'm like, bro, you're tripping. Why would you wear that and
tripping.
walk the strip the
In
whole
the
way?
place that you can barely drive anywhere, you're gonna pick the worst shoes to walk around. Yep. No,
Yeah.
you're right. But yeah, I agree, man. It would be a big risk for them to not only put them on first, but to put them on first and have them lose. I think if you win, you can make it feel like what I'm hearing is that they have WWE has basically said, John, you got as much time as you want. Okay. Not only that, what I'm hearing is because it's being streamed, they don't have to stick to the 2 hour adherence. If it goes over, it goes over. Matt, my question: how pissed off do you think Goldberg is right now?
Yeah, he's probably, bro. I mean, I'm pretty sure he'll be on somebody's podcast next week saying, "Oh, what the fuck? They did
Yeah.
this. They didn't do this for me. They had some girl break my record that was, fabricated to begin with."
Yo, yeah,
And like, bro, get over it, dude. Who cares? But to me,
bro.
like the biggest thing, like the fact that they said that they don't have a time limit because they're on Peacock was also strange because like even before they had a time constraint, like, well, we got to get this in at least 3 hours.
Yes,
But
exactly.
it's strange to me because like, why would you make that known? That at least like, okay, do they think it's gonna be okay? Because like I said, the best person to have a good, great last match with Cena is Gunther. Does that make them think like, okay, if we give them a fucking hour-long banger between Cena and Gunther and Cena loses at the end, it's okay? Like, bro, that's still not gonna be okay. You're gonna piss off a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Especially if Cena, if it goes flat and he taps Cena out and that's it, and Cena just sits there, waves at the people. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of the show, and then fucking leave, bro. Like I would leave too.
Yeah,
Well, maybe like not. It depends if I mean, because that makes it weird. Because like is Cody closing the show then? Which I do, which is another match. I have like to get to it real quick because I'm running out of a little time here. Obafemi needs to win that match, in my opinion.
I
Obafemi
agree.
needs to win. He need not dominate. You can make it a schmoz. You can throw some interference in there, a little dusty finish. Obafemi needs to walk out of there with his hand raised as the winner, no matter what happens.
Hell yeah, dude. No,
If you're
you're
the
absolutely
WWE,
right.
you have to think like you have to be like, I understand, we're gonna give John what he wants, but John, come on, man. Like people are gonna click off Peacock when you're done. How many of these people are actually gonna care to watch
Yo,
Bailey and Sol Ruka, bro? Like think about it. Like who's gonna watch?
dude, you're right. Hey, I appreciate you tapping in, big dog. Thank you. I know you got to go. Man, awesome guest spot. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, bro. Catch you next time.
Hell yeah, champ. I'll give your stuff out. Peace. So yeah, shout out to Machine Gun Matt. I will put his channel in the chat where you can go and check him out. He talks he does it all, man. He talks football, baseball, everything. This guy is man, he's one of the fucking most knowledgeable people I know. One of the most knowledgeable hybrid fans that I know, for sure. And I know quite a few, Anyway, all right. So we're clicking out of YouTube. Anybody on YouTube, head on over to X, TikTok, or Facebook, or Twitch. I had to pull out of Twitch too. I was having something. There was a problem with my overlay on there, so I just clicked off. But yeah, we are off of YouTube officially